He was only 31 years old, a towering figure in American conservative politics, loved by some and hated by others. On September 10, 2025, one bullet brought an end to the controversial but meteoric career of Charlie Kirk. It happened in broad daylight, in front of hundreds of witnesses, at a college campus in Utah. The murder shocked the nation, sent political shockwaves around the world, and left behind a trail of questions that remain unanswered to this day. From the outside, the name Charlie Kirk is often tied to politics, activism, and controversy. But behind the fiery debates and bold headlines lies a very different story. One of a suburban boy with a simple family, growing up in Illinois, never imagining the stage he would one day stand on. Charlie Kirk was born on October 14, 1993, in Arlington Heights, Illinois. His childhood was far from extraordinary, grounded in the quiet life of Prospect Heights. His father, Robert, was an architect who worked on major projects, including the famed Trump Tower in New York City. His mother, once a trader at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, later found her calling as a mental health counselor. His younger sister, Mary, would pursue a career in the arts as a curator. It was a household built not on fame, but on ambition, faith, and stability. As a boy, Charlie was curious and determined. He joined the Boy Scouts of America, rising all the way to the rank of Eagle Scout, proof of his commitment and discipline from a young age. At Wheeling High School, he blended in as any other student, but a quiet fire was growing within him, an interest in ideas, debate, and leadership. He briefly enrolled at Harper College, but the path of ordinary academics didn't hold him for long. After just one semester, he walked away, determined to create something bigger. At just 18 years old, alongside Bill Montgomery, Charlie co-founded Turning Point USA, a student organization that would catapult him onto the national stage. His voice, sharp and unyielding, began to resonate on college campuses across the country. Whether one agreed with him or not, people listened. And slowly, the name Charlie Kirk became impossible to ignore. But outside the spotlight, his life was far quieter and far more personal. In 2018, Charlie met Erica Franceva, former Miss Arizona USA, businesswoman, podcaster, and a woman who shared his deep faith and values. Their connection was instant, rooted not only in attraction, but in a shared vision of purpose and family. By December 2020, he had proposed, and in May 2021, they exchanged vows, stepping into a new chapter of their lives together. Their marriage brought a new balance to Charlie's world. Erica wasn't just his wife. She became his partner in faith, his confidant, and the anchor in the storm of public scrutiny. Together, they built a life deliberately shielded from the chaos of headlines. In August 2022, the couple welcomed their first child, a daughter. 2 years later, in May 2024, a son was born, completing their family of 4. But in this digital age, where every detail is dissected, Charlie and Erica made a firm decision. Their children would remain unseen. No names, no faces, just a protective shield of privacy around the two souls they valued most. It's no one's business, Charlie once said, what their names or faces are. In a world that thrives on exposure, this choice spoke volumes about who Charlie was beyond the cameras. A father, determined to protect his children's innocence. And so, the man the world often knows for fiery words and endless debates also lives another life. One where mornings begin not with cameras, but with his daughter's laughter. were evenings in not with political strategy, but with the quiet prayers of a family committed to each other. This is the other side of Charlie Kirk, a boy from Illinois, a husband, a father, a man trying, like so many others, to balance ambition with love, legacy with privacy, and a public persona with a private heart. By 2025, Kirk was preparing to launch his American Comeback Tour, a nationwide campaign to energize conservative youth. The first stop on that tour was Utah Valley University in Orem. It was meant to be a typical campus appearance. Nothing flashy, just a man, a microphone, and a crowd of students eager either to cheer him on or challenge him. But what unfolded that day would turn an ordinary event into a national tragedy. It was just after noon on September 10th when Kirk stepped into the courtyard of the Losey Center at UVU. Hundreds of students had gathered. Some came out of curiosity, others out of admiration, and still others to protest. Security was present, but nothing out of the ordinary. It wasn't the kind of event where anyone expected violence. Kirk, as always, was calm and confident, answering questions, cracking jokes, and leaning into his signature style of debate. At 12:23 p.m., everything changed. A student had just asked Kirk about the rising number of mass shootings in America. Kirk leaned toward the microphone to begin his response. And then, a sharp crack split the air. A bullet tore through his neck. The crowd erupted in chaos. Screams echoed across the courtyard as students dropped to the ground. Others ran for cover, and still others, in shock, pulled out their phones to record what was happening. In the confusion, some rushed forward to try and help Kirk, while others scattered, terrified that more shots would follow. Within minutes, the video of the shooting had gone viral, flooding social media feeds across the country. The man behind the gun was Tyler James Robinson, a 22-year-old Utah resident. To neighbors, Robinson was quiet, almost shy. He was intelligent, but increasingly withdrawn. In the weeks leading up to the shooting, he had become radicalized, spending more and more time online in dark corners of the internet, reading extremist forums, and nurturing an obsession with political violence. Investigators would later discover that Robinson had meticulously planned his attack. He scouted the UVU campus days before, studied security patterns, and carefully positioned himself on the roof of the Losey Center with a .30-06 bolt-action rifle. Even more disturbing were the engravings he had carved into some of the bullets. Cryptic words and bizarre internet memes. Messages only he seemed to understand. After the shot was fired, Robinson didn't stay to gloat. He quickly dismantled his rifle, stuffed it into a bag, and fled on foot. CCTV cameras caught fleeting glimpses of him leaving the scene, but his face was obscured. For the next 33 hours, the state of Utah was gripped by fear. The killer was on the run, and no one knew where he would strike next. The manhunt was massive. FBI, ATF, and local police worked together, combing through surveillance footage, digital footprints, and eyewitness accounts. The break came when Robinson's father contacted authorities. His son had confessed to the shooting, admitting what he had done and expressing suicidal thoughts. With that information, investigators tracked his movements, eventually cornering him outside a friend's home. On September 12, 2025, Robinson was arrested without further violence. The man who had assassinated Charlie Kirk was no longer just a shadow on a rooftop. He was flesh and blood, a troubled young man who, with one decision, had changed the course of American politics forever. The reactions to the murder were immediate and fierce. For conservatives, Kirk was hailed as a martyr, a man who had died standing up for his beliefs. Vigils were held across the country, and Turning Point USA declared that his mission would continue. For critics, his death raised difficult questions about the growing culture of rage and violence that defined American politics. Donald Trump himself issued a statement confirming Robinson's arrest with a high degree of certainty and condemning the climate of political extremism that had fueled the attack. On social media, the debate was vicious. Conspiracy theories spread like wildfire. Some claimed Robinson had been part of a larger plot. Others insisted it was the work of a lone wolf. And caught in the middle were the students of Utah Valley University, left traumatized by what they had seen that day. Many would later speak about the nightmares, the flashbacks, the lingering fear that something like this could happen again. Today, Tyler Robinson sits in police custody, awaiting trial. Investigators continue to piece together his online activity, his mental state, and his motives. Was he acting out of deep political hatred? Was he influenced by extremist communities? Or was it something even darker? A personal unraveling disguised as ideology? The answers remain incomplete, and the case is far from closed. But Charlie Kirk's murder wasn't just a tragedy. It was a wake-up call, a reminder of how political tensions, unchecked anger, and hidden extremism can explode into violence in the places we least expect. And while Tyler Robinson sits in custody, the bigger questions remain unanswered. How did we get here? And who could be next? If this case gripped you, there are countless other true crime stories unsolved, many still shrouded in mystery, waiting to be uncovered. From chilling assassinations to unsolved murders, every story hides a lesson, and every detail could be the missing piece. As Charlie always said, when he's gone, he should be remembered for his courage and his faith mostly. Subscribe now to Tales of Crime and Mystery, and join me as we dive deeper into the darkest corners of true crime, serial killers, and unsolved cases. Don't just watch history unfold. Uncover the truths others are too afraid to tell. Because the next case might be even darker than this one.